Okay, welcome to System of Inequalities. It's Monday, April 27th, 2020, and I'm going to go ahead and do example one to help us with our system of inequalities. And the first thing to do is just graph this like a normal equation. So the first one, it says y is less than or equal to negative x minus 2. Remember the minus 2, that is the y-intercept. That tells us where to begin at. So I'm going to start at minus 2 and put a little dot. This is our y-axis, so I'm going to start at negative 2. And the negative x, well, that is a negative 1. And what that means is it's got a slope of 1. So negative slopes go this direction, as you recall. So up 1 over 1. I'm just going to continue that pattern. Down 1 over 1. And because it's greater than or equal or less than or equal to, I'm going to draw a straight line. And put a little arrow. Now let's think about that for a second. If it's less than, it can't be up here. So the solution has to be down there. Just kind of think about that as we graph our next one, okay? And this says it's greater than or equal to negative 5x plus 2. Well, remember the plus 2 tells us where to begin on the y-intercept. So we begin at 2. And negative 5x, well, what does that tell us? Well, rise over run. Up 5 over 1 in this direction. So remember that slope is going up 5, 3, 4, 5, and over 1. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and over 1. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that line. And if we think about that, what does that tell us? Well, that tells us that that graph has to be less than this point here, okay? Well, let's think about this. This graph goes on forever. Again, if it's less than, but it doesn't include this part of the graph. So what I like to do kind of to help things out is I always like to pick a point. So I know it's going to be less than, I know it's going to be less than here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pick a point to kind of help us. Actually, I apologize for that. It's going to be greater than, okay? So think about this. This line's going to be greater than. All right, so it's going to be less than over here, so it's got to be in this direction, but greater than over here. So think about this line. If it's greater than this one, the negative 5x plus 2, it's got to be this direction. It can be less than that. So the shaded area is going to be here. And that's what kind of showed you on the answers. Now, I always like to kind of pick a point to kind of help me understand it. So let me just pick an ordered pair that falls within this shaded region. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm going to choose the point that falls within that shaded region of 4, negative 7. And I'm just going to see if it makes both the inequalities true. So remember, our x is 4 and our y is negative 7. And I'm just going to replace where I see y, put a negative 7, and where I see 4, where I see the x, I'm going to put a 4. Does that make the first one true? Yes, it does. Negative 7 is less than or equal to negative 6. And what about the second one? Well, if I replace the y with negative 7, and I replace the x with 4, does that make it true? Well, yes, negative 7 is greater than, that'd be negative 20 plus 2, negative 18. So that becomes true. So the solution to number 1 on today's practice problems was this. Okay, you should have had that graph. All right, just bear with me. I'm going to go ahead and get a paper towel, and we're going to do solution number 2 here. Just so we get really good at graphing these inequalities and finding the solution. So, let's go ahead and do our second problem, which is y is greater than negative x minus 2, and y is less than or equal to negative 5x plus 2. So graph it like a normal system. I'm going to go ahead and get our y and x intercepts, or axis. Here's our graph. So the first one is negative x minus 2. Well, think about this. We start at negative 2. Then we go negative x. What does that mean? It means up 1 over 1 in a negative slope fashion. So up 1 over 1. And because this was greater than, and it doesn't greater than or equal to, we're going to have a dotted line. Meaning it can't be, the solution can't be on that line. It's not a part of that line. Okay, so greater than, it's going to go somewhere in this direction. So we got a dotted line. The next graph is negative 5x plus 2. Well, where do you put that? Well, you start at 2. So you go up 2. Negative 5x, again, negative 5 as our slope, so up 5 over 1. Down 5 over 1. And again, a dotted line. Now, it says it's less than. Okay, so it's got to go this direction. The other one had to go this direction, so the shaded area is going to be here. Now, just to prove things, and I want you to do this so that you understand the answers, let's just find an ordered pair in this point. So we're going to go ahead and do negative 2, positive 3. So, remember our negative 2 is our x and our positive 3 is the y. If we're good, it should make the statement true. So I plug in the 3 where the y was. I plug in the negative 2 where the x is. So 3 is greater than 4 minus 2. That's a true statement. So it does satisfy the first one. The next one, I'm just going to put the 3 where the y is, so 3 is less than negative 5, and remember my x value is negative 2 plus 2. So negative 5 times negative 2 is 10. Is 3 less than 10 plus 2? Yes, it is. So this is our solution to the second one. Hopefully this helps you understand how to graph system of inequalities. Again, have a great rest of the day and just try your best and good luck.